Whether it's for better or worse, AI has slowly been leaking into every corner of the internet, and apparently eBay is no exception. What I have to show you all today is a 100% AI-generated Game Boy Advance. Let me show you the eBay listing. You guys have to see this. Here she is, ladies and gentlemen, the Nintendo Game Boy Advance console white plus SpongeBob BFBB THQ game tested works. Now this is a Game Boy Advance console we apparently got for 68 buckaroos, not too bad. And I know what you're thinking, like, oh, what's so strange about this? It looks like a Game Boy Advance in a game. It's a Kane B807 AD. Oh no. Look at the stars and select button. They're inside the console. Where did they go? Why is the D-pad made of metal? This is AI. This isn't a real Game Boy. Then what do I have here? And then our game is even worse. That's not even words. That is just green blob. And of course, the AI stuff, it keeps going. Relive classic handheld gaming with this original Nintendo Game Boy Advance in sleek white. Includes SpongeBob, one of the most loved GBA titles. Is it? You know, this description, it just keeps getting like weirder, laid out in such a strange way too. Like, why you'll love it, what's included. Use and care, clean screen and cartridge contacts gently with a soft, dry cloth. Why are you telling me to do this? Aren't you selling a used, good condition Game Boy Advance? This is your job. Oh yeah, and no seller feedback, by the way. You know why do we buy consoles like this? We do it for you guys. We do it for the cause.
This is the way.
The seller's page is like so strange too, because this is the only like video game related thing they even sell. It's all like car parts, like random grill pieces and stuff. Front lower grill for 2013-2015 Nissan Sentra. I mean, to be fair, I don't think anyone's buying any of this stuff because apparently they have 2 items sold. One of them was to us. In fact, we can see the sold items here. Here's our Game Boy, our AI generated Game Boy Advance. And then this stainless steel tongue scraper 2-pack, 420.
Smoke
silicon
every day.
Medical grade with travel case. Is the tongue scraper AI generated as well? This looks pretty legit as far as I can tell. Oh wait, the item description here. Okay, this looks more similar to what we were seeing on the Game Boy. Fresh breath made simple. But it's like the same layout, right? Like it's like these bold little things with a bunch of like bullet point drop downs for all the different sections. And again, these things don't even make sense. Like the specs and everything are fine, but will it make me gag? Oh no. Lots of people on eBay are using these AI generated descriptions for everything, which is like annoying, but not the end of the world. I've never seen someone use an AI generated image on eBay before though. If you have, let me know down in the comments. I want to see it. But all right, guys, I think it's time we open our amazing package up. By the way, it does feel like there's a console in here, but there's not a lot of protection. Like, I don't trust that this Game Boy made it to us safely, so let's go ahead and open it up and see what's inside. All right, here we go. Oh, here it is, our AI Game Boy Advance. You know, sadly, first impression here, I don't think it's a, what was it called? Can B807 Abidugida.
What the man?
Our game is already installed into the console, so that's nice. But all right, guys, let's take a closer look at this thing. So the first thing I notice is that this thing clearly has some replacement parts. I'm sure there's a white, I don't remember off the top of my head, but I'm sure there is a white Game Boy Advance color, but the plastic material, it does not feel OEM at all. Same with all the buttons here, like these feel really bad. Oh yeah, and up top here, do you guys see the Nintendo logo? That is definitely not how that should look. It's like all blurry and stuff. However, the screen looks OEM and it has like a bunch of scratches and stuff on it, which is, you know, expected for a used Game Boy Advance. All right, let's get our game out of there and see what that looks like. Okay, this actually looks official-ish. SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, there it is. And yeah, first impression, I mean, the label has like normal use and wear and stuff. It's got like that little dimple in the middle. The back looks fairly legit as well. We can open up the cartridge in a moment to see if it's, you know, actually real in there. But moving on to the back of the console now, I think the sticker is definitely like a knockoff because all this text right here is like a little blurry and everything, and I don't think they would print it like that. Same with this sticker up here, like the barcode is kind of grainy and low resolution. And then look at the battery cover. Like the battery cover doesn't even feel like the same plastic material as the rest of the shell. And you can barely even say, it says Game Boy, I think, but it's like so faint. What happens if I open the battery cover? Also, what's happening here? Like the clip here is like curved or bent a little. Okay, this looks fairly normal. So yeah, I'm leaning towards a reshell so far. Something going on down here. Why is it like, you guys see that gap? Oh yeah, if I squeeze the console a little bit, it goes away. So I don't think that's supposed to be that way. So it's not even a good reshell. All right, guys, got some batteries here. First thing I want to do though, let's go ahead and open up this cartridge and see what's going on the inside. I mean, yeah, that looks real to me. I guess you guys can let me down in the comments if there's something sketchy about this. But as far as I'm aware, this looks like a pretty legit looking GBA cartridge. By the way, this is an $8 game, so I don't know. Here's a random console I found for $74 that looks like an OEM shell at least. Oh gosh, here we go. This is what I'm talking about. Item description from seller. The Nintendo GameBoy Advance handheld system and Indigo Purple is a portable gaming device manufactured by Nintendo. AI! Anyway, overall, this isn't a terrible value as long as everything works. Let's go ahead and get some batteries in the console and see if it actually functions. All right, we got our batteries in there. The battery cover does not feel very secure. Like, if I just flick it the wrong way, I feel like it'll come off. But see that? See how loose that is? Like, I basically just touched the little flap and the whole door opens here, so whatever. All right, let's see if this thing turns on. Did I grab dead batteries? Why did the power light like flash red for a moment? Do I still have dead batteries in here? Hold on. All right, I have 100% guaranteed to be new and brand new batteries. Let's see if these work. All right, there we go. It is functioning now. And it's hard to see, but I think I see a green light in there. I do want to compare it to some other consoles I got laying around here. So this guy is also a modded Game Boy Advance. As you can tell, this is clearly a reshell, but this is actually, you know, a good one. Plastic feels really nice. The buttons feel really premium. I like that it has the Super Game Boy. That's a cute little touch. And look at the stickers. They look so nice. They almost look better than OEM. This one's got some other things too. Not exactly a totally fair comparison. This is like a rechargeable battery setup. And it's also got like a much nicer screen, as you can see. Even if it was just a reshell, this is what a higher quality one would look like. And then I also have this guy here, if you guys have seen one of these. This is an Ambernic RG34XX. This is not a real Game Boy. It's this is one of those emulation machines. Yo ho, yo ho, yo! But this is like a really nice one. My point with bringing this up is just that, like, if you can make a third-party knockoff that feels better than the OEM in some ways, there's no excuse to have a reshell look this bad. Oh, and we did a video on this thing, by the way. Click this video right here. This is a good one. I love this machine. It was really fun to play with. But anyway, let's go ahead and see if our game works. Okay, it's booting up. What is the sound doing? It's like cutting out every 3 seconds. Can a reshell break the sound? How does that work? All right, I gotta hold this at the perfect angle so you guys can see it while I can kind of game on it at the same time. I didn't even know they made a Battle for Bikini Bottom game for Game Boy Advance, but all right, here we go. There he is, SpongeBob. Oh man, the buttons feel awful. You'd think they feel the same, but no, they really don't. They feel mushy, and it's also like not very responsive feeling. It's bad. Oh, I can blow bubbles? Oh, that's pretty cool. Get him. Heck yeah. But all right, as you can tell, the game shockingly is working. Go ahead and try out a different game next. There's one of those like knockoff Pokemon games you can get for like $3 on eBay. Sometimes these can be a little janky, so let's go ahead and try it out on this console. But yeah, other than being impossible to see, this game is also working fine. Let's test out our Game Boy Advance video thing. Yep, that's working no problem. Cool. And finally, let's go ahead and test out a older Game Boy game. I always hated how goofy it was, like how this sticks out of the console. Like, it just looks so dumb. And yep, unsurprisingly, since I'm pretty sure it's an OEM Game Boy Advance, that's loading up just fine. So while this thing does indeed suck, and it is not an AI-generated Game Boy Advance manufactured and brought to the real-life existence of our mortal plane, it does at least function like a real Game Boy Advance, I guess. But all right, guys, let's go ahead and tear the console down and see if this is indeed an OEM Game Boy Advance. All right, got all the screws out, and I'm really curious to see what's going on here just because, like, we had that weird separation issue going on the bottom of the case. Let's see here. Yeah, as far as I can tell, this does look like an OEM Game Boy Advance. Why was it reshelled? I don't know. Maybe it just had like a damaged case or something. The bigger question is, why did this guy use an AI-generated image if he had the real Game Boy Advance in the first place? Why? So maybe he really doesn't have a camera and this is the best solution he could come up with. I don't know. All right, what I want to know at this point, though, is if I can put the case back together here and maybe assemble it in a way that doesn't leave that gap down there in the bottom. Nope, I think it's just the way the console is. I got most of the screws down as tight as they'll go, and there's still like a little bit of a gap there. I mean, maybe it's like a little better, but not by much. Either way though, guys, let me know what you think about AI-generated Game Boy Advance and what you think about this bizarre new trend on eBay. Who knows? And if you want to see a video going over an even stranger console, click the video right here. It's a 3D printed Sega Nomad. Now all I need is these things to be combined. AI-generated and 3D printed. It'll be the best of both worlds, right?